Well, Man United 2, Wolves nil. Probably a pretty fair result, to be honest. Man United started a lot better. Um, First 15 minutes, I don't think we really touched the ball, which is disappointing. Didn't really get going. Man United not really giving us any space, not letting us play out from the back. It made it tricky. But yeah, you could tell we were safe, to be honest. It was one of those games where never really started, never really looked like doing anything. I don't think De Gea really had a shot. Back four were probably solid enough. Lamina and Neves, I don't think really worked today as a midfield too. Hence why second half he put Nunes into the midfield as well, where we looked a little bit better with him getting on the ball and trying to bring it out from the back. But yeah, Neves and Lamina didn't really work there as a two. Didn't really get on the ball. I mean, United had three in there with Ericsson, Fernandez, and Casemiro, so not a bad three to have either. But yeah, Neves and Lamina struggled up against those. Similarly, so did Neto. Started out on the left hand side up against Wan-Bissaka. Never really got past him. He's obviously quite a good defender, Wan-Bissaka, and blocked pretty much everything. Neto tried to move over to the right hand side, and Luke Shaw bullied him really. Every time the ball came in, Luke Shaw would just knock him off it, and he wouldn't really get anywhere. So that made it difficult. Never got going first half. Never got out of our own half. Costa huffed and puffed. Played quite well, I thought. To be fair, was always a bit of a nuisance, putting himself about. Kuna had a nice little run, ran it around a few players. Again, looked okay. Made a change at half time. Wayne coming on for Neto, who I'm not Wang's biggest fan at all, but he did make a difference today, second half. He played well, got on the ball, good runs in behind, and generally made a bit of a difference going forward. As I say, we didn't really create anything, but he did make a bit of a difference and was a bit of a bright spark second half, to be fair to him, which I don't normally give him too much praise, but yeah, definitely one of his better performances in a Wolves shirt. We then went on to make five changes. If I'm honest, I can't really remember who they all were. None of them really made any difference. Podence had one little flash of really good football. Other than that, gave the ball away every time he got it. Looked weak. One point he went down. The whole Wolves crowd just begging him to get up. Typical Podence, laid on the floor for too long. While we're getting broken on, and yeah, he doesn't come back to help. He just lays on the floor holding his face. Unsurprisingly, didn't need the physio. Got back up and carried on. Second goal that we conceded, I don't really have an issue with it, if I'm honest. We're going for an equaliser. We're pushing men forward. The disappointing thing, I think Adama came on probably about half hour-ish to go. Gave him the ball twice, I think, and only one of those really in a good position. When he did get it, he ran around Shaw like he wasn't there and put a half-decent ball into the box. So disappointing that we didn't give him the ball a little bit more, but too much sideways and backwards today, too much just trying to keep possession when we did have it. No real attacking impetus at all. Bentley did well, a few good saves, came in for Sarr. Kicking was about as good as Sarr's. To be honest, it wasn't great. One in particular out to Totti out wide, which didn't look like a particularly difficult ball. Overhit, it went straight over Totti's head, which was disappointing. Another one, Totti had to sort of stretch to keep in. So, yeah, but a few good saves, but I say a bit of a nothing game really, and on to Everton next week.
So pretty poor performance in the first half, really. Didn't really get into the game at all and very sloppy. Couldn't really keep possession. Both teams are pretty bad in the first half, to be fair, but Kilman rushing out for the first goal has just absolutely killed the defence. Second half, I thought we were a lot better. Asked some more questions, but ultimately the forward play is still not really good enough. So I know Lopetegui's been saying that he sees Cunha as the lone number 9 in the future, but I don't see it that way either. I can't see how we're not going to need to bring in a striker. Even if we keep Diego Costa, he's not going to be the answer, even for another year if you just keep him on vibes. I don't know what Sasha Kalajic is going to bring, but it seems like we have a winger problem as well because they're not very direct. Well, the only one that is direct is Podence, and I'm getting sick of his antics anyway. So, yeah, somehow the attacking part of the team needs a huge revamp, I think, as well. The one sort of positive that we can take from the loss today, I think, is Daniel Bentley, and he was really fantastic, especially in the second half with loads of really, really great saves. I know Anthony was getting pretty frustrated with how he was keeping the ball out of the net. So, and his distribution, I think, is a lot better than Sar's, and judging by that performance, his shot stopping is also on par, if not better. So, it's not easy to just roll up to Old Trafford on your Premier League debut and put a performance in like that. So yeah, I think Jose Sarr should be probably pretty worried sat on the bench watching that performance today. But yeah, apart from that, it's pretty obvious that we're just on the beach. We're not really bothered anymore. I would have liked to seen some more minutes being given to some youngsters like Fraser in the under-21s, who's having a pretty good season. Would have been nice to see Boubacar Traore, obviously not fit yet. Would have been nice to see João Gomez. Yeah, it is what it is. A lot of the first team that was subbed on today needs to be moved on. Pedence, Raul. But yeah, it's just nice to be safe, and I'm not really too bothered about the loss, to be fair.
So it finished Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Manchester United 2. Obviously, it's not the result we're after, but there's a few points again we can look at, and there was some positives in that game. So it wasn't all doom and gloom, as if some Wolves fans are walking out the ground as if they'd absolutely been tated. The key thing I would say was about the tactics and the way the system changed. So we started off with a 4-4-2, and that's probably the most 4-4-2 rigid I've seen us for Wolves, definitely under Lopetegui, particularly out of possession. There was literally 2 banks of 4. You could see there was Costa and Kuhn up front, and it was set and it was quite rigid, which that definitely held us back when the transitions turned over and we were trying to play the ball forward. And we just had no width. Although there was 4 at the back and 4 midfield, we struggled with the width. Nunes was definitely coming inside too much, and then Neto didn't seem to want to take anybody on and try and run past somebody like he did a couple of times last week against Villa. So ultimately that's why he was taken off at half time, because Neto wasn't doing enough, and then the system changed. 20 minutes in, Neto has moved over to the right hand side to try and mix things a little bit up. Again, that didn't have much effect for him to have a go at Luke Shaw. Didn't really do it because Luke Shaw always knows Neto's going to come back onto his left foot. He's not going to try and cross it with his right. And then the few times when he tried to do that, or put the ball in his right foot, it didn't work. He overhit it, which he did in the first half. Juan came on at half time. Really positive change, I thought. The move to the 4-3-3. Much more runners in behind than we struggled in the first half. We'd get to we'd get to the edge of the penalty area, and we'd have nowhere to go in terms of that. We get to the United penalty area, nowhere to go, no one running on them. Didn't really know what to do. It was all in front of United's back line, and we didn't really know what to do with it. So that's why the change we made, and it worked. In fairness, we went to the whole game without a shot on target, which seems crazy if you actually watch the game. But we'd have quite a few decent. The final third entries definitely improved as we went into the second half of the game. There's a couple from Hwang where he ran through. There was one from Traore where he ran through. So definitely we had more width in the second half, which is what Lopetegui was trying to do. That was a big positive from him because he got the tactics wrong in the first half. And in the game, which I haven't seen him for a while, he actually changed it halfway through the subs, and the tactics he changed, the formation change, made an impact and was really good in terms of actually changing and having an impact on the game. Obviously, it's not the result we wanted, but the style of play improved, and what he was trying to implement actually changed. That was positive to see. So the 4-4-3 gives more width in and out of possession, and that helps when we're defensive as well, because United had so much space in the first half on either wing. Particularly Anthony could just run, which he did. We had Nunes again. The second half, they moved him into midfield. Slightly better when he came into the mid, I thought, when they moved him back and the formation changed. Definitely again, better defensively. That made a big difference. Pedence came on, had little bits, flicks and tricks. He did too many back heels. Obviously, that get into the Wolves fans. Obviously, the groans that were by me when the backers didn't come off. He did do like a Rabona flick through to Jimenez, and the ball didn't drop to break for him to try and score towards the end. But it was definitely more positive than what we were doing before. Dawson again really strong today in that back line. Probably one of the best out of the defenders. He was the best one. Carried the ball forward well. There was one chance where he broke forward with the ball, and for some reason all the Wolves players decided to run away from him when he was breaking, and then he somehow managed to keep the ball, play a good ball into behind to Traore, and then he ran into the penalty area, and we got a chance from that. So that was all coming from Dawson again. To be honest, I think our biggest downfall was that we were sloppy in possession too much. We actually had more passes than Man United, and we had higher possession than Man United, which if you actually watch the game, I didn't realise that when we was actually watching it. So that surprised me quite a bit. But too many possession, too many times we give the ball away. We get to the edge of the penalty area, we try and do a flat pit, like Kilman would give the ball away on the edge of their penalty area, or we get passes cut out. Lots and lots of things, particularly midfield. I think Lamina was bad for that today as well. That wasn't probably one of his better games. And then last thing I just want to mention is obviously Dan Bentley came in goal today. Didn't embarrass himself or obviously could show his Football League experience and was really positive. He made 3 good saves throughout the game. And I thought, to be honest, there wasn't that much difference between him and Jose Sarr. His distribution clearly favours throwing the ball out of his hands rather than kicking it. His opportunity to kick it a couple of times, and he throws the ball out instead. I don't mind if as long as it gets there. It's obviously slower than kicking the ball, but to be honest, it's more successful than some of the Jose Sarr where he's kicking it into the stand or out of play. So I'd rather get to the intended target. Obviously, it's a little bit better if obviously keep possession. And then we'll see what happens next week, really, against Everton. We want to get a win. Last home game of the season. We want to try and get a win. See what we can do. Mix it up. I'll probably give Joe Gomez a run out instead of Mario Lamina. And then we'll see what else he does. And I'll probably start Dan Bentley again as well. See how he gets on again. So he deserves the rest of the season in goal, I think. So we'll see what happens next week. And then one last one after that, and then get to Arsenal. And then we'll see what happens at Arsenal.
It's finished. Wolves 0, Manchester United 2. If there was ever a performance that was classed as on the beach, it was this one today. Really poor, really, from Wolves. Away from home, no shock there. We set up as the same team as last week, apart from Bentley in goal. And it was lacklustre from minute 1 to minute 90, really. When you're playing against a Man United team who are under lots of pressure, and we've not got any pressure on us anymore, you expect us to come out and attack a little bit more. But realistically, we don't. We haven't got the players who've got any threat in front of goal. Nobody looks like scoring. Neto was garbage. Costa and Cunha couldn't get into the game. And even if they do, very rarely you might get a goal out of them. It's really frustrating. And I know we're safe and it's all happy and we're all, on the beach and excited for next season already. But it's not the point. The point is we don't score goals. And if we go into next season with this same problem of not being able to score goals, I'm pretty sure we will ultimately go down at some point. Because we don't score enough, we don't create enough. I mean, even today, in the first half, we've had one chance, which has come to Dawson off a corner. And we aren't creating anything of a Man United team, which aren't massively that good. They've got some world-class players, obviously. They spend the money. They're going to have some world-class players. But, we should be threatening these teams more. Even if we don't win games, it just look like we're arse and look like we want to win the games. That's all we ask for as fans. Fans have gone down there again today and been shown nothing, really. In the second half, it was slightly better. They came out a little bit more when he made the changes, but hang on, and then brought Podence on and Raul and Adama as well. But even then, we didn't look arsed, and that's kind of been the story of our away performances all season, I'd say. Not many times this season away from home I've said come away from a game thinking, Christ, we were unlucky today to lose that. And today's the same. I think the only real player for me who can hold his head up was the goalie, Bentley. He's made some unbelievable saves to keep the score just at 2-0, and I think he's on the wrong side today. But yeah, it's getting towards the end of the season. I'm sure all the lads have had a long season. They want to go on holiday and get away from England for a bit and get away from football as a whole. And this club needs a massive revamp in the summer. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 5, 6 of them leave which wouldn't be a terrible thing, but we have to spend the right money. We have to get goal scorers in. We've got to get attacking players who can score goals and create chances at the same time. And we need to be sensible in how we're doing this. I've read this week that, Lopetegui said that Cunha can be a number 9. That's a load of shit. If we don't sign a striker this summer who can score goals, none of this bollocks of 25 million for strikers who have scored 5 goals all season. Go in the Championship. There are goal scorers in the Championship. Look at some players who have come from the Championship now and into teams. Watkins, Tony, Mitrovic has come up and scored, got you 10 plus goals this season. There are strikers in the Championship that can get you goals, and they're hungry to play, and they want to play for bigger teams, and that's what players we need at the moment. We need players who want to play for Wolves, not players who are just stepping stones, like a couple of these players. Now, I said it when we were struggling and we could have gone down. I said that the players hadn't had no fight, because they know they'd get into another team straight away. And I still do believe that. I mean, the lads did have the fight, and fair play to them. We were really, really down and out at Christmas, and I really did struggle to see if we'd stay up. But the lads pulled together, and they've made us stay up, and the manager's been a massive credit to that. But this manager has got to get hold of this team now. Find his best team. Find an 11 that can score and create chances, but still defend at the same time. And we've got to start next season on the front foot every single game. Otherwise, we could be back in the same predicament as we were this season. In the relegation battle. And I don't want that, and no fans want that. So, on to Everton next week. I mean, they'll be well up for it. They need a big 3 points as well, as they're down at the moment. But yeah, I want to see some sort of attacking intent next week, and against Arsenal away from home, because it's all right doing it at home, but fans are spending, it's nearly £100 days to Man United, with, travel, ticket price, food, drink, whatever. And you're still getting a 4 out of 10 performance, which has been shit. And trying to get 2 wins away from home all season against a team that's just been relegated, Southampton, and a team that's looking like they could get relegated in Everton. Not to win another game away from home is really, really poor for Wolves. So we have to improve in that sense. But yeah, moving on to next week, got to put a big shift in. I think the lads need a break. I would like to see some massive changes next week, actually, in the team. I know Lopetegui still wants to win the games, but I think the players that started today's game, a couple of them, 3-4 of them, have probably been the worst on the pitch. I think Neto was really poor. Neves was poor today. Nunes was also poor as well. So, all these players, they've got people on the bench who can slot in. So I want to see them get some minutes. I want to see a different way of Wolves playing, a more attacking way of playing, and hopefully that we can, get another win before the end of the season, just to give us hope for the summer and the window and coming back in pre-season and really starting to kick on next season. So yeah, we move on to Everton next week, and I'll see you later, boys. Thanks for having me on.